violence and other kind of violence.
Guess what? I could be at work, at school, in my car, and I can still get shot by the police. But I can get shot anywhere.
So it is what it is.
What's good, YouTube? It's a Black Gen Z Mindset. Make sure you go ahead and like, comment, share, subscribe, and let's get into the video.
Jay?
That is right, Stella. Now, the new sheriff says the first thing she'll do is get right to business, criminal justice reform, as well as auditing the new jail, are some of her top priorities. But first, she just wanted to take in the moment. Lots of excitement because history was made tonight.
We're going to talk about history. When you do break a glass ceiling, you got to celebrate it.
A new sheriff.
No, she ain't talking about no damn glass ceiling. You got a new sheriff in town. And she's making waves, okay? She is a strong, independent sister who made it in law enforcement, it appears. And she is coming with reforming changes in order to correct the historical damage that has been done by locking up these super gremlins on demon time.
Sheriff in town, Susan Hutson, breaking barriers indeed, as the first African-American female sheriff in the state's history.
I was looking at how long Louisiana's been a state, right? 200 plus years, and all that time, not one African-American woman has been able to get to this position. 2022, right? And so you're like, it's time for all those barriers to be broken down.
First a parade, then the inauguration ceremony. Sheriff Melody Maddox, the first African-American female sheriff of DeKalb County, Georgia, even coming to show her support.
And y'all see what's happening in DeKalb County. Not good at all. I'm telling you right now, I mean, these women are not fit to lead, point blank, period.
We've always worked in the back, and now we're getting our opportunity to be able to have a seat at the table.
Those who got to watch soaked up history too.
Feels awesome, amazing. Congratulations to her.
DA Jason Williams says he's looking forward to her help on fighting the city's uptick in violent crime.
She's committed to putting security details in high crime neighborhoods where there's been carjackings to help out our chief of police so that there's more visibility of law enforcement.
And Hutson says criminal justice reform and auditing the jail are some of her first priorities.
What I promise to do is listen to those who are in custody, listen to those who work there, and listen to this community. A very simple formula, but you know what? It's a formula for success.
The new sheriff says for the past 24 hours, she's been meeting with members of her team, getting on the same page to let them know they have her support going forward. She says she'll need all of the community's leadership at the table to see change.
So that's what we want to do. Work together. I'm not saying I got a magic wand and I'm going to wave it and everything's going to be great. I'm not going to do that, but it's going to be hard work. We're going to work together.
Now, the sheriff said when it comes to crime, she actually plans on figuring out the causes on why people are being arrested, right? Like,
what? Why are people being arrested? Simply put, because these super gremlins are on demon time.
Mental health or even addiction. She plans on helping people while in jail to prevent rearrest. She also talks about putting more deputies out on the streets. And you can read much more about her plan by visiting our website, WDSU.com. Reporting live from the CBD, Shay O'Connor, WDSU News.
First at 10, there is a new sheriff in town, the very first woman sheriff in the city of New Orleans. Susan Hutson beat out longtime incumbent Marlon Guzman last Saturday. Guzman had been in office nearly 2 decades, but Hutson says it's a testament to the change the citizens of New Orleans seek. WDSU News reporter Shay O'Connor spoke one-on-one with Hutson, who's also the first African-American woman to be elected as sheriff in the state of Louisiana. Shay, I can imagine this is exciting for her.
God damn, she thick as hell. She got auntie vibes in the face, but the body is giving BBL.
Definitely, Gina. Now, Hutson says she plans to get right to work as soon as being sworn in next year. She says she ran a campaign based off transparency, and that won't end while in office.
I just bowed my head and just said thank you. I was thankful to God for this victory.
Susan Hutson's first reaction after finding out she won the race for sheriff, with 53% of the parish's vote, beating out Marlon Guzman, who's held that office for 17 years. Her first goal once in office, getting right to business.
We need to audit all the funds, find out where they're going to, where can we cut back, and where can we redirect, taking care of those who are in custody, right? We want them to come out better than they came in. Taking care of those who work there. We want to support them, train them, uplift them, and then listening to our community's leadership. So that means the community has to be at the table.
Hutson is the first female sheriff here in Orleans Parish, the first African-American female sheriff in the entire state.
So, I mean, they keep mentioning this, and I know it's a historical moment, but at this point, it's starting to feel like a diversity hire, which I think takes away the impact of a potentially historical moment.
Her campaign focused largely on criminal justice reform and opposing the expansion of the parish's jail that Hutson says is only a little over a half full.
It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make dollars and cents, and it doesn't make sense for our community. We need help in our community. We need to put that money towards diversion programs where people with mental health diagnoses.
Here she go. Now she's trying to take money away from the prisons and the police. Like, here she go. And this is where these sisters go wrong. They're ruining cities everywhere they go. I'm not afraid to say it. I know a lot of people are afraid to say it. But everywhere they get power, they're taking away funds that are necessary to keep the society safe. They're talking about protecting black women while basically eliminating the force that protects said black woman.
And those who have addictions can get treated.
Hutson also wants change in health care within the jail.
We want just that public health model, something better. So I want to give input to the mayor, and I want to give input to the city as they work on this contract, because they have to work in this facility that I'm going to be running.
One of the biggest topics she opposed Guzman on, the need for another facility to house those who suffer with mental and medical health. Hutson says there's already enough space within the jail to house those inmates. Once in office, she plans to retrofit the facility and create pods for those who need special care, but says there's no need to break up resources.
We want to make sure that we have enough human resources in this building to cover everyone. And to do that, we need to bring everybody under one roof.
When it comes to tackling crime in the city, Hutson says she has a plan for that too.
We have agreed to put some deputies out on patrol to have more visibility in areas where there have been more shootings and more violent crime, because our community asked me for that while I was on this campaign.
We'll see if she actually does that.
And when it comes to those who say that Hutson doesn't have the experience, she tells me that the people of Orleans Parish have already spoken. Now, she'll officially take office on May 2nd. In the meantime, there'll be a transitional period. You can actually visit our website, WDSU.com, for more on that. Reporting live from Mid-City, Shay O'Connor, WDSU.
Sheriff Hutson, are you going to start releasing information to Fox 8?
We're not, no conversations now.
Sheriff Susan Hutson once again refuses to respond to Fox 8 questions about ongoing issues at the Orleans jail.
Uh-oh. So she's been in office for a very short time now, and she's already having issues. Can't even keep the jail in order. It's getting ridiculous.
As city council members express concerns about transparency. Good evening, I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Liz Reyes. The Orleans Parish Sheriff goes before the New Orleans City Council and gives more details about the days-long protests at that jail.
She said at least 6 people will be charged in relation to the protest. Olivia Vidal is live outside City Hall with me.
That's right. Sheriff Hutson presented data before the city council on her first 100 days in office, but the council rather focused on the incident that happened at the jail over the weekend. They had a lot of questions, and they're concerned about how the incident began and took place and how they weren't notified sooner. The sheriff says inmates in a high security pod got angry during a lockdown on Friday. She says a deputy on duty left the pod to call for backup, and in that time, those inmates barricaded themselves inside, fashioning weapons from broomsticks and flooding the floor with soapy water. They also began breaking the sprinkler system. The sheriff said she called in the Department of Corrections on Sunday. She says it took about 50 people in
Damn, look at them boys. Hey, they applying pressure in that prison.
in total, with 30 from the state responding to the jail to limit violence and de-escalate the situation. At least,
I mean, they're climbing on the cages like monkeys. This is not a good look. It's not a good look.
5 inmates were injured in this weekend's incident at the jail. 1 went to the hospital for treatment. Now, during today's meeting, Council President Helena Moreno asked the sheriff to...
No, I know this man is not reading terms through the gate. That's crazy.
...honor her promise of being transparent moving forward.
You know, communication needs to improve, transparency needs to improve, security needs to improve. Because, you know, what's happening within the jail can obviously impact us outside in the community as well. So it's all pretty troubling, and we need to have answers very quickly. And can she do it? I mean, I think those are like the big questions that we're asking right now. And if additional assistance is needed, we needed to have known quite some time ago.
Moreno told Sheriff Hutson to be fair with news releases and communication with all media outlets so that no one is excluded. But since Hutson took office, her communications team has repeatedly kept Fox 8 in the dark. Now, the sheriff blamed the issues at the jail on account of being understaffed, underpaid, and just being a complex work environment. She's now asking the city council to provide additional funding for resources. Reporting at City Hall, Olivia Vidal, Fox 8, Local First.
I'm here on the corner of MLK and Frederick Douglass, where a shooting just took place. And as you can see, it's a pretty rough area. So I'm basically risking my life reporting on this madness. So make sure you do me a favor and hit the subscribe button. Like the video, hell, share the video. And make sure you go ahead and leave a comment down in the comments section to continue the discussion on how we can find solutions to all this son violence in the streets. I'm Janquavius Jackson, here live, reporting from Atlanta, Georgia, BGZM News 17.
Are you going to start releasing information to Fox 8?
We're not done. No conversations now.
Orleans Parish Sheriff Susan Hutson once again refuses to answer Fox 8's questions about ongoing issues at the Orleans Parish Jail. On the same day, New Orleans City Council members expressed concerns about her transparency. Good evening, I'm Lee Zurich.
And I'm Liz Reyes. Tonight, protesters gathered outside of the jail angered by the Orleans Sheriff's justifications for what happened after inmates barricaded themselves in a section of the jail for days.
As Caitlin Rust reports, council members also expressed concern over what's been happening inside.
If you can't do your job, then you need to go.
Protesters want the sheriff to grant the demands of the inmates in Pod 2E, saying she's being untruthful as to what's happening inside after state corrections officers were sent in to break up the inmate protest Sunday night.
Okay, so I don't agree with that. Meeting the inmates' demands. Obviously, it needs to be safe and sanitary and whatnot, but like I said, this is not the Ritz-Carlton. Y'all have no negotiating power. Straight up. That's the reality. The jail needs more funds, which it seems like she's trying to get from the city council, whatnot. But at the same time, I mean, the first year that this sister is put in office, and it appears she's a little in over her head, especially trying to negotiate with these super gremlins on demon time.
How they set up the sprinkler system when they was in the window talking to us. The whole time we was out here talking to them. So now they're trying to cover their behinds.
Hutson says it was peaceful from Friday night to Saturday, but inmates wouldn't allow staff in to bring any food, water, or medicine. Sunday, she says the inmates realized they could grab the outside's attention.
Whenever they were able to get that attention, then they continued to act out and to act as if things were going on that weren't going on. And we showed you the video to prove that.
Hutson said the inmates began making weapons out of brooms and soap and socks, flooding the whole pod with soap and water. Hutson says all but one of their demands were never made to staff, things like recreation time from morning to night.
I mean, how does this make sense? They're finna tear up where they live. They're finna tear up where they live in order to push some type of message, get demands met. Doesn't make sense, because the more y'all tear things up, the less negotiating power y'all have, because y'all just gonna be, they just gonna wait you out.
New TVs, a lift on the book limit, timely transportation to court hearings, and access to toiletries.
The main thing that I hear in these grievances is they want to be out from the morning to about 10:30 at night, which is not doable with the
hell nah
staff that we have. That's the only one. The rest of them are all reasonable, provided we can get to them.
Hutson says a lot of the issues they're experiencing are inherited, like a lack of staff, poorly designed building, and outdated IT systems.
But they still on TikTok. Just type in hashtag jail talk, and these are the same super gremlins who are out here doing TikTok dancing and TikTok challenges.
And I'm not sure that I've ever seen it escalate to where it's at now. You know, communication needs to improve, transparency needs to improve, security needs to improve.
The council's Criminal Justice Committee questioned the sheriff heavily on how this happened, why council members aren't being notified of these serious incidents, and why any information is so slow coming out of her office.
I think the other piece, too, is getting information to all media outlets, being fair with news releases, things like that, that when they go out, that no one is excluded.
Yeah, I mean, I have no issues with that.
But in her own words, it appears Sheriff Hutson does have issues with that. Sheriff Hutson, are you going to start releasing information to Fox 8?
We're not, no conversations now.
No comment. I really want this to be focused on your work and not a lack of transparency. 6 of the inmates in 2E will be charged in relation to the protest, according to Hutson. 5 are being evaluated for injuries. 1 was taken to the hospital because he was not able to take his insulin. The sheriff also says a deputy fell and broke 5 ribs after slipping on that soapy water. Not long after, the sheriff did post a video on social media saying she wanted to clear up some misinformation about what happened at the jail. She says the operation to enter the pod was a last resort.
Still using only the minimal amount of force necessary to regain control of the pod. During that time,
That's where you messed up. Minimal force. Because a man would have sent the team in there. We would have went in with batons. We would have duked it out. And by the end of that fight, those super gremlins would have been in their cages.
flashbangs, 6 beanbag rounds, and 1 stinger ball, all of which are less lethal, were used by the Department of Corrections, and once entry was made, Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office personnel cuffed and removed all residents from the pod.
Hutson says while the incident has been a top news story, the jail is not out of control.
Sheriff Susan Hutson did not show up for court this morning, where she faces charges after shutting down New Orleans courts. You may recall 2 months ago, the sheriff temporarily moved court deputies and moved them to the jail to increase staffing there after disturbances. Attorney Lionel Lon Burns says he filed the complaint on behalf of his client, who was unable to have his court date due to the court's closing. He says she faces malfeasance as well as contempt of court charges for not providing security.
Dang, so she already facing charges her first year. Are they discriminating against her, or is she just doing a bad job and opening herself up for scrutiny? Let me know what you guys think. Be the judge in the comment section. Is she doing a bad job, or is she doing all that she can do?
The sheriff does not run the courts. The Louisiana Supreme Court does that. And when she falters in her responsibility, it is the duty of us, the attorneys, to file that motion for contempt to have her ultimately brought before the Supreme Court and sanctioned.
So a motion will be filed September 8th, but a judge ordered that the sheriff must show up to all proceedings after that date. And just moments ago, the sheriff's office did release this statement responding, in part saying, quote, Sheriff Hutson was not ordered to be present at the next setting, which is September 8th. Judge Holmes indicated that the sheriff would need to attend at a later hearing date, which has yet to be set. The sheriff will abide by all orders of the court, end quote.
Gang violence and other kind of violence. So it is what it is.